Enjoying all that Toxic Radio has to offer? Well, make sure you like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be the first to find out about ticket giveaways, amazing guests, awesome contests, and Toxic Radio events. Just search Toxic Radio Live, all one word, and press that little button. Every time you do, someone here at Toxic Radio will get their wings.
Yay!
Well, not really.
Aww.
But we will get a warm, fuzzy feeling in our tummies. But then again, that just might be the beer. Anyway, like and follow us, and we will see you out there on the interwebs.
Planning your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch.
Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the heavy metal happy hour with the one and only Fishman.
I know that, dude.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Everyone get out!
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Hey, buddy. Rah. Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is the place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where you going, man?
Welcome to Show 36, Wire to Wire Sports. I am your host, Gene Walzak, and to my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend, the uncle, Shally. He just waved to the camera. Once again, the podcasters can't hear that. To my left, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, soccer's own, College Catrell.
I am here.
And I got a special guest with us today. Last week he was on the show. I invited him on the show. I said Campbell's Corner needs a face to it. I got my buddy Tom Campbell here. Me and Bill's friend, Tom, there he is. He looks very
He's my friend now,
ready
too.
to be on video.
He's my friend now, too, Gene.
He's not your friend yet. You don't even know him.
Kind of handsome.
We got a ton to get into today. We're going to talk about the UFC. We got to go over that card that just happened. NBA playoffs are insane. Another injury. Another guy on the COVID list. A couple coaches got fired. We got to go over the series that's going on. We got the NHL, Campbell's Corner. Shally and Campbell are going to dominate that conversation. We got the sports venues bracket. We have 4 voters here today. So if we tie 2-2, the listeners at home get to split that decision. Love it. We're going to talk about the U.S. Open, golf, another big tournament this weekend. I got the winner for you. You will win money if you bet my picks. And then we're going to finalize with the College World Series. I do not have the winner. I'm throwing a dart at a wall, and maybe I'll hit it. This is Show 36. This is Show Brian Westbrook returning the punt, scoring a touchdown. This is Show Robin Roberts, Philadelphia Phillies Hall of Fame. Okay, let's get into it. So we got to start UFC. We're going to recap UFC, what happened in the UFC card. I feel like it needs to be addressed because Catrell made such a big deal about it.
Uh-oh.
But I
don't even know what it is.
I want to know how that extra fight went for you.
It was as boring as I imagined it to be. I got to give Bilal credit. His defense against Damian Maia's takedowns was better than I thought it was going to be. I thought Maia would get him to the ground more, and that's how he was going to win. But that fight wouldn't exist almost exactly how I thought it was going to go. Except Bilal had better takedown defense than I gave him credit for. That's the only difference.
Except the part that mattered.
Bilal
except the winner.
Bilal didn't give anything impressive on the offensive end. It was just his takedown defense was incredible.
Catrell falls in love with hating people. He does. Like Bilal Muhammad's next on his list.
Did he have a good performance?
I mean, he won.
Did he have a
versus
good
the
performance?
versus the legend, Damian Maya.
Legend.
The legend.
Here, I'll move the water. You guys keep taking the camera off me.
The legend.
Also, Shallcross. What'd you think about the Damian Maya fight? It was great, right?
Super exciting. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time.
It's terrible.
It was awful.
It was awful.
I mean, there's a reason we didn't talk about it.
Exactly.
I understand why Catrell wanted to, but I mean, it is what it is.
I have it upset.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen.
No. It was a meaningless fight, too. I mean, it doesn't move the needle for anything in regards to rankings or championship opportunities or anything. It was just, wow.
You're right. But Nate Diaz saved my ass for me making a big deal about him being a plus 400. Saved my ass because for four rounds and a half, he got his ass beat by Leon Edwards. His ass beat. But you know what Nate Diaz does? What Nate Diaz does is he's got a chin and he's tough to take out. And if you leave him in a fight that long, that's why he shouldn't be a plus 400. How close do you think he was to getting that knockout? I felt like he was close.
I mean, I think he was hurt. I don't think
Leon was hurt.
It was also the
hurt
24th minute of the fight. Like
like, to be honest, for the first 24 minutes, that is the reason Nate Diaz was plus 560.
Exactly.
Like he was outclassed in every aspect of the fight.
Now had that happened at say like minute 21, then we get a different story.
Yeah.
Just because Leon hasn't been in a 5-round fight. I think that may have been his first 5-round fight. But with Nate Diaz, you can't just be lightning in a bottle in the last minute of the fight just because you're down. I mean, he had nothing to lose at that point. He was down 4-0 on the card.
I don't know how much he had left to finish him either. I mean,
Nate always has gas left.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He's
enough zombie. I don't know how he's not. Listen, you want to talk about CTE? That guy's gonna have CTE.
I get what you mean though.
Come over to my house and party.
He does always have energy to fight, but it takes some energy to actually finish a guy.
He almost stopped that
24
fight.
24 minute
Dante
fight.
goes, I told you, Gene. What did you tell me? I picked Leon in the fight. I just said Nate shouldn't be a plus 400.
I think he's saying that he told you that fight was going to be as dominant as it was. Like before that,
bro.
Yeah, he dominated the fight, but like
that was 4-0 across the board. No debate. There was no close rounds. Like
correct.
He was losing.
Literally the 24th. There was 1 minute left. Like 1 minute even left on the clock.
Do you not think Leon was close to being stopped? When in that fight did you think Nate was getting stopped?
Leon never even got put on the ground.
Leon's not a stop guy, though. He's not. I mean, that was one of the things we even talked about. He's part of
the reason why I say he shouldn't be a plus 400.
I mean,
because if you're gonna go 5 rounds with that stupid zombie,
but
doesn't that slurs everything.
The overall odds for the fight don't dictate how you're going to lose. So if
Leon won, didn't he? Did it matter how it happened? He won, didn't he?
if he's plus 5, whatever he was when it opened,
awful impression, man.
He was just dominating. I mean, he hurt him the last minute of the fight. Right.
Yes.
But up until that point, Nate was borderline not in that fight. Like he just got worked for 24 minutes. That's why he was plus 560.
Leon didn't even get dropped, so I can't say he was close to finish it when Leon was on his feet the whole time.
The one thing about Leon
they
is
almost stopped the fight, bro.
No, they didn't.
I don't think it wasn't close to being stopped.
Almost stopped the fight. Get out of here.
He was definitely going to get knocked down to lose for that fight to get stopped. But again, it's. I brought it up yesterday. I didn't realize his record was what it was. I mean, I don't. He's 20-13. Like I don't. Just not.
He puts
good.
on shows and sells cards. He's always gonna have a job.
He's good on the mic.
That's terrible, man. He's not even good on the mic.
Well, he's good on the mic out of a comedic factor.
Yes.
Correct.
Like a comedy review.
Yeah.
Correct.
I've never heard someone just sound so stupid in my life.
I'm telling you that one interview
sounds just dumb.
Like there's a million great Connor lines, but the first fight with Nate when they had the big one in Vegas, and Nate was just jibber jabbering about something, and Connor literally took the mic and he's like Nate, he goes, what's 2 + 2? And Nate literally wouldn't answer him. He was like, man, like that's I don't know if he knows. I don't.
Speaking of dominant performances, Mexico's first UFC champion, Brandon Moreno.
I would tell you, odds-wise, I think people were expecting a close fight. I don't know anybody that went on the record and picked Moreno, though. Like, everything I read everywhere, everybody took Figueiredo.
He keeps saying, Dante, I love you. The only reason Gene is up on me is because I was on Tony Ferguson. This evened my odds. No, it didn't. I picked I picked Leon. They even pressed me for the pick. They're like, "Well, are you picking Nate?" I'm like, "No, I'm picking Leon, but like, I don't think he should be plus 400."
Yeah, he never.
I went 3-1 on the card.
He
just
never,
to be clear.
Yeah, he never picked Nate. He just said Nate shouldn't have been.
And if you had Moreno, dude, you can say we're even up then.
Yeah,
because I didn't have Moreno.
Did you guys end up betting anything?
I no.
Okay.
I got too late.
Fine.
I was a little angry about that actually.
Listen, it was great to see him win. Figueiredo, I mean, it was a good fight. I mean, I didn't see that coming. First Mexican-born fighter to ever win a belt. And again, I mean, if I don't know too many people that knew his history, I didn't know it either until I saw all the tweets and everything after the fight. He was the season Tough that he was on. He was the last fighter picked. After Tough, he went 0-2. Dana actually cut him, released him from his contract. Went, fought elsewhere, came back, and worked his way all the way up to a title shot and then won. It's a great story.
Yeah.
It's a really great story. If you want to see a really cool clip, you can look up he was talking to Izzy right after Izzy got done for the big post-fight match press conference. Izzy said a lot of cool things to him, and was very respectful. It was really cool to see. That kid's just over the moon right now. I mean, that's
deserves to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to take any credit away from Moreno. I will say Figueiredo didn't look like himself in there, and I don't know if that was credit. Like, of course, it's credit to Moreno for that. Figueiredo had seemed dominant in all of his past performances, so. I mean, that's like you said. That is more credit to Moreno for that, but
yeah,
I know what's next for him though. That's for sure.
I almost feel like they changed their game plans up, and I don't know why. Like, he looked different than he did the first time they fought. And I don't know if he overthunk the fight or the strategy. I feel like he came in completely differently. Than he did, and Moreno had a better game plan. He changed up what he wanted to do, and again, anybody who picked him and bet money on him. I mean, congratulations. You had a good night.
Dante said I had Moreno.
Did he really?
I guess I believe him. He's not a liar. Did you go 4-0 on the card?
I want to see slips.
No, I just want to know if he went 4-0 on the card.
I think he said he was going to put it in his
he
comments.
Would be the one.
Look at the comments.
He would be the one that would pick against Izzy just because. So, and talk about another dominant performance, Izzy.
Yeah, I mean, Izzy looked
dominant, and then he called out. Then he called out your boy Whitaker.
That's his only fight left.
That's why he called him out.
I mean, you got to try to make as much money and hype it as much as you can. It's the only name that's worth a shit left in the division that he could fight. He looked like old Izzy. I mean, he looked great. Vittori, I just don't think he should have been in there.
Not at all.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And they had to make a fight, and I get it. And that's
Whitaker
fine.
wasn't ready. That's why they made that fight.
Yeah,
his cardio is insanity.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to watch him fight at 185 and then go to 205 and see him get dominated and just see how much of a bigger difference it is.
It's 20 pounds.
I get that, but he's so good. I feel like he's one of the guys that should be able to make that jump and be okay.
I feel like he would have been able to make that jump if he would have fought like two guys that stunk at 205 before he went and
I don't even think if it was a stunk thing. I think if he would have fought at 205 that was similar to like what his build is and not a guy who's fighting at 205 that – I mean, I went to that fight. He's probably like, exactly.
Yeah.
If he would have fought somebody a little bit smaller,
how many
he
of those are there that are worth anything?
That's fair.
Like, and the other problem is with Izzy being a champ, nobody wants to see him go to 205 and fight a chump either. Like,
I agree.
And that was why that fight was made what it was.
Of course.
It was either Izzy was going to lose, and it's not the end of the world because he just goes back to 185, or he wins, and now Dana's got another dude who's a double champ who's already one of the most marketable people in the company.
To Izzy's credit, I will say, too, like that fight against Jan, we really saw him get dominated on the ground. This fight against Vittori got to the ground a couple times, but Izzy was able to, make light work of it, get back up on his feet, or just get a clean reversal in.
It's 20 pounds. Again, Jan probably walked in there that night. He's probably at least 215, 220. I also think a lot of people underestimate Jan in that fight, too. I think
That's true.
Izzy was definitely the bigger name. I think Jan's better than people thought he was. And he proved it. He went out and he made that. That is the first time by far I've ever seen Izzy look ordinary, and he looked ordinary that night. Not Saturday, though. He looked like prime fun Izzy.
I want to address one of Dante's comments really quick. We're not going to see Moreno versus Figueiredo 5 times because there's a guy, Askar Askarov. He's next up in line.
I'm curious to see if they're gonna run it again.
You have to. That's his only non-win of his career, and it was a split draw. I don't see how that doesn't happen. And he's coming off a win against Benavidez. So
I'm talking about the trilogy to run it back. I mean, I don't know if they're going to do that or if they're going to let them both go fight two people, work themselves back. I don't know. I feel like Figueiredo, he's going to want to fight right away.
Of course. But, I mean, the one downside to Askarov right now is that his fight against Benavidez, he did miss weight. I don't know if Dana's going to reward him for that. But he's also the one who arguably beat Moreno to begin with. So
Dana dies on that hill when he wants to. There's certain people that if it's not one of his guys and they miss weight, he comes down like an anvil on them. And then other guys miss weight. Like, again, if Dana thinks he's going to sell a bunch of pay-per-views, it won't even be an issue. It won't even be brought up.
At flyweight, though, there is no guys that are like, oh, he can do whatever he wants to. We're going to sell him. You can miss weight. We'll throw you in there. That's why I think it's 50-50, but Askarov definitely deserves it. I think he should be next in line.
I agree. I think even if they do run it back for the trilogy, I think he's next in line regardless of who wins that fight. I don't know. I don't know what talks are going to take place. I don't know. They both came out pretty unharmed. I mean, it was a submission, so nobody really got hurt or anything. So, I mean, they could run it back relatively soon if both guys have good camps. So, I don't know. Be curious to see which way that goes.
So, obviously, as he's going to fight Whitaker next. Whitaker came off surgery.
Yep.
Dante made a good point about that. That's accurate.
Yeah.
I still think Izzy dominates him.
I think it's going to be a better fight than it was the first time.
The first fight was a joke.
I
couldn't believe Robert Whitaker put out that kind of performance.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed in him.
I think to some degree, I think that fight woke him up a little bit. I don't want to say Whitaker. I don't think he was on cruise control or anything like that, but I think he maybe underestimated Izzy a little bit, got in the cage, and then saw what he really was. And he was like, I'm in trouble. Because since then, he's looked really good. So his last couple of fights have been very good. He's looked good. He's finished people. So I think it's going to be a better fight. I mean, Izzy, I think, is still going to be a very decided favorite. But I think it'll be a better fight.
Minus 350?
He was only minus 250 against Vettori. I don't see him being.
That's what scared me about that fight. That made no sense.
Whitaker.
No, I agree with you.
Especially after watching it, I'm like,
when you look at Vettori and you looked at Diaz's odds, that's my point. That was my whole point.
Yeah, but I mean, that
Izzy
argument,
won that fight 5-0 though.
That argument is still
that's my point. Thank you for making
the
it.
point. Well, yeah, but also the Diaz ones.
What's the point? I'm confused.
The Diaz ones were spot on. Vettori should have been worse. I don't think you could argue that Diaz should have been down where Vettori was.
I think Diaz should have been plus 270, 280 because of his knockout power. And it was clear that if you were to switch the odds, it would have been better for Diaz to be the plus 250 guy than
Doesn't matter.
Vettori.
He lost.
He got dominated.
Not the point.
Man. I mean,
it's not the point.
Lost 4-1 on every scorecard.
And Izzy won 5-0.
What's the
and
point?
Izzy was never in trouble.
4-1 and 5-0 aren't that big of a difference.
And Izzy was never in trouble.
Leon was in so much trouble and he never got put on the ground. Okay,
dude, he
I got it.
He was
I got
knocked out on his feet, bro. You gotta watch that again, bro. He was literally dazed.
You say he was knocked out on his feet, but when Rose is on top of Wei Li Zhang beating her head in, it's like, oh, they stopped that fight way too early.
Premature stoppage.
Beating her head in. It was 2 punches.
She was
bro.
and she's on top of her on the ground. And that fight was an early stoppage, but
it wasn't an early stoppage.
But Leon is standing on his feet, and you're like, oh, he was. So
I can't wait to
Rose and
Wei Li run that shit back. I can't wait.
Thug Rose. I'm riding that train with Catrell.
Ride it all you want.
Thug Rose.
Bro, I've watched that replay a million times.
I'm the best.
I'm the best.
I'm the best.
Yeah, she
Thug Rose.
I'm glad she believes it.
Well, she's a champ right now. It's a fact right now.
And then Whaley's going to knock her off and take it back. Right. Let's get into the NBA, bro.
All right, bro.
We got to get into NBA. I wanted to get on here and brag about Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns sweeping Nikola Jokic.
You got the vid, bro.
And now the news that comes out this morning about him and his COVID test.
They're going to be playing
protocols.
They're going to be playing the bench to start Western Conference Finals.
They have to delay that series.
Here's the problem: it becomes a competitive thing, and then it's
the playoffs. You can't
force
that,
and it's scheduling, and anybody from the teams from the East could also bitch. I'm just saying, I agree with you. That's what they should do.
Yes. Correct.
So they should do. Telling you, don't be surprised if they don't. They're not gonna make an East team.
How bad would that be if they started a team 8 guys? 4 bench guys are starting.
The problem is the NBA should have got on top of this before the playoffs started and said, hey, this is our strict guidelines. If a team has 8 healthy players, they have 9 healthy players, they're going to play. They should have got out in front of this because they knew this was a possibility of happening.
That's been all year, though.
I know, but for the playoffs, they should have came out and said, like, there's a different criteria here. Because, regular season game, in January. You really don't care about too much. This is the playoffs. These guys have worked all year to try and win a championship here. They should have put a
no
different
one wants
guideline
to
for
tune into
this.
a primetime game and watch Phoenix get beat by 50
Bro,
because they're playing.
Nobody's arguing that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you also have to realize there is TV stuff. There's
Correct.
the
Even more important.
the stuff. Well, they're also locked into dates.
Yeah, that's a good point,
Like,
because like you
that's
have different
part of-
shows that
yes,
aren't on
yeah.
right now, and then their
Yeah.
TVs are going to be scrambling like, hey,
Yeah.
what can we do to fill this time
Yeah.
slot because we don't have these NBA
Bro,
games.
just
that
throw
we
Law
playing
and Order
for.
on. It always works.
I'm
If
with you.
there's a date, just throw Law and Order on. That's for you, bro.
Just
Olivia
Sasha.
Benson, just throw her on there.
Then TNT's just going to get screwed. Then
They're
because-
fine. Law and Order.
They'll just play Fast and
That-
Furious 7 again. They'll be fine.
Furious 7. Just don't play Fast and Furious 8. That's
Yeah.
the worst Fast and
Vin
Furious.
Diesel
7 was the last
catches
good
another
one.
car.
The other problem you're going to have is, again, if the East finishes early somehow, they're going to have a huge gripe if they got to sit for 2 weeks. And
I don't think the Sixers or the Nets will have a huge gripe sitting 2
They
weeks.
will. They
No,
will.
they won't.
They will.
No, why would
I
they?
don't think they will.
Joel gets a little
If
healthier.
you're in the middle of a playoff,
Kyrie gets a little healthier.
middle of a playoff
James
run,
Harden gets a little healthier.
the last thing you want to do is go sit for 2 weeks and then go play game 1 or 2 of the finals knowing you're going to be flat one of them.
I think the Sixers wouldn't want to do that. I think the Nets 100% would want to do that, just because they got these big injuries with Kyrie and James Harden. I think the Sixers wouldn't want that, because then Embiid gets a little with that rest. I feel like he's just not gonna. It's gonna take him time to get back up to where he was.
Correct.
Donnie from Hungry for Hope says, "Life's not fair. You got to play to adversity. No waiting for anyone. Play ball."
Agree. I don't.
You
I
agree
don't,
with them?
As a fan, I want if Phoenix is going to make it, I want Chris Paul on the court.
Yes.
But
I don't agree.
But as a competitor, I also
100%
understand that. Agreed.
I get it.
But back to your thing, if they have the same protocol they've had all year, if anything, they're trying to be more lenient in the playoffs. Like, if Chris Paul would have had what he got now, like back in January, they'd be like, he's done for 2 weeks.
10 days, no matter what.
Yeah, no matter
no,
what.
because he's vaccinated. It's different. They
Wasn't-
changed
but
the
During the
rules.
season,
Wasn't
no, during the
vaccinated
season, he
back then.
didn't.
No, I know, but they changed the rules for vaccinations.
Correct. What I'm saying is they've changed. I've said that. They've done that, and they made it more lenient as well. If he doesn't show symptoms for the next 2 or 3 days, he's going to be cleared as long as he has negative tests. So
Correct. He needs 2 negative
this
tests.
is probably not going to be that bad. The problem's going to be
Who else
has
tested
it,
positive
because
and
apparently
who's
a bunch-
not vaccinated.
Apparently, other guys on the
I
team
think their
know.
whole team. Now, HIPAA laws say that you can't disclose,
Absolutely
but
put it
I'm
out there,
pretty
yeah.
sure that their whole team got
Well, it's-
vaccinated.
it-
They
it's
were
gonna
one of the
come
teams
out.
that were complaining about not wanting to get vaccinated, but then I think their whole team did.
Yeah,
They
again,
were one of the few teams that had complaints about
If
that.
you're a team that wants to win a championship and you know this could be a concern,
Yes.
I think you. I mean, I don't want to say anybody has to do it, but
Point.
you want to get vaccinated just
I'm
in
sure,
case this kind
I'm
of thing
sure
happens.
it was discussed and
They weighed the pros and cons of
yes,
it.
and it was probably highly encouraged to go get it.
Yep.
Okay, so Suns dominated. Give Chris Paul his roses. Getting sick of that shit.
Phoenix Suns played well.
Chris Paul led the Phoenix Suns playing
Phoenix Suns played well.
Chris Paul played
Chris Paul's
well.
part
Devin
of it.
Booker
Devin Booker played
well.
great. They all did.
Good
well. Chris
performance.
Paul was the best player on the team. Like I said,
I'm not getting into Chris Paul debates tonight. I'm just not doing it.
he wasn't.
I will say though,
He wasn't the best player in round two.
I want to hear your take on Game 4 with Nikola getting ejected while the game.
That was a well, you're gonna get that take later.
All I know is his brother. All I know is his brother wanted
They were
all
ready.
the smoke
Bro,
in the
his brothers were
world.
ready.
They're about to put a hit
They
out
were
on
ready.
Devin Booker.
Yo, they look like
Devin
some
Booker wasn't gonna be-
Serbian mercenaries.
Speaking of MVPs,
If they got on the court, somebody was going to die.
speaking of MVPs, the MVP of the playoffs so far, and the best performance of the playoffs start happened last night. And listen, as much as I trash the guy, I can't stand him. I think he's the softest superstar in all basketball, not named LeBron. Kevin Durant played his ass off last night. 49, 14, and 10.
If you want to
That's
have
probably
again,
his best performance ever
not even close.
in the playoffs.
He's the best player on the planet when he's healthy. and he's playing.
Correct. I literally have that in my notes. Kevin Durant is the best basketball player on the planet.
If you view strictly, and I'm with you, if you view strictly what he does on the court, he's the best player on the planet.
Correct.
Now you take all the other crap, it makes you not be able to like him, and it's very understandable why people don't like him.
And I want to give James Harden his roses because
For just
he didn't
showing
play
up
well.
and
He
playing
didn't
terrible.
play well. He had no business playing in that game. We thought he was going to be done at least until the next series. Like
They're-
no doubt about it. He missed one game, came back and
They're really rolling
Played
the
the whole
dice,
game.
though. It's going to be really easy to pop it again.
played 46 minutes on a horrible hamstring.
get it.
I give him
You're
his
giving
credit.
him his roses for playing terrible.
No, just for being out there. That's
All right, so
toughness.
he's got
He could've-
balls. Great.
Yeah. Give him
Awesome.
credit for that.
I don't know how much better they look without him. He played terrible.
He did.
Now, if
They
he
still won
plays
the
well
game.
in Game 6 and like it's wearing him in and like that's part
If
of it, they got to
anything,
win.
I don't play him Game 6.
Yeah, you know, it's funny.
I go to Milwaukee. And
Somebody made that point today.
Reggie
and they got-
Miller.
take your chance.
Horrible. He said because
I don't
Kevin
know what
Durant
he said.
he played 48 minutes. The question was, do you sit Kevin Durant and James Harden next game
Why would you sit Kevin
just
Durant?
hope for the best in Game
Just
7
basically
and get those guys healthy?
get
Because he
them all
played
healthy for
48
Game
minutes.
7.
Durant's healthy though.
I agree with you.
Yes.
Durant's got to play because if Durant goes out and scores 50 again, there's a chance to get Milwaukee and win Game 6, and then they're sitting anyway and letting everybody rest. I don't play Harden though. I wouldn't play Harden.
Biggest locks of all time. If you take the Utah Jazz money line tonight and you take the Milwaukee Bucks money line tomorrow, you are winning money.
It's
Just
moved.
parlay them together.
It's moved 5.5 points.
Why are you taking the Bucks so confidently?
The Bucks aren't losing that game at home.
I don't trust
They're
Giannis
not.
at all in the playoffs.
You don't have to trust Giannis in the playoffs. That team, full role players, plays better in Milwaukee. I don't have no. You tell me why. You tell me why they can't travel to Brooklyn and play. I agree with you.
When has Giannis ever made? I don't know. Giannis to me is starting to get on my list of players that I gotta hold accountable for not winning.
Okay.
When you're underperforming in the playoffs, and this
Can
is
you at least agree with my point I made 2 weeks ago.
He had like 35 last night though.
He
I don't care
in
how
the
many
fourth
points
in the
he
fourth
had.
quarter he was a ghost. And
You know his biggest problem is?
Other
Say
thing,
it. Say it. I'm ready. I know you're saying. Say it.
first team
Free
All
throws.
NBA, and you're scared to guard Kevin Durant.
I knew that was the point.
Kevin Durant had 49
Right here,
points last
right here,
night,
right here.
and you don't want to guard him in your first team All Defense. Really?
I hate to say it, that's been like a theme like all playoffs long for
Defensive Player of the Year last year,
He was.
Was
beat
he
An-
last year?
beat
Yeah,
Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
and he wouldn't guard Durant last night.
Can't happen. And
He's
he had
looking
40
at Chris Middleton and P.J. Tucker.
Like, what are you guys doing?
You guys are getting smoked tonight.
That can't happen.
PJ Tucker thing is the funniest thing in the world.
Oh, bro.
After all that
I
hype,
texted you that, bro.
Yeah, after all the hype,
I bet
and
the
go
over
out.
in that.
Yep.
I told you.
So that's Giannis is on my list of players that I got to start holding accountable.
I don't
Bucks
think
don't lose tomorrow
I don't
night.
think it's a lock. I do think they win tomorrow night. I think that's going 7.
Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock.
The one
not going there. I'll go like paper straw lock. I'll go in like that.
The one reason why I'm not so confident in it being a lock is that you lose that game 5, when they don't have Kyrie and James Harden is playing on half of a hamstring, and you lose that
James
game.
Harden's not getting much better in 2 days.
No, I understand that.
And they're going to play in Milwaukee.
But you lose that game, I would have no confidence if I'm in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee is one of those teams that plays
We can't beat
drastically
Kevin
better at
Durant
home, though.
and these bums.
They don't travel
Point.
well. They do. They play. They're gonna.
And they were up, what, 15
If
they were up
you're
15
betting
at
tomorrow,
halftime?
you're betting Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean,
Milwaukee's winning that game tomorrow. I'm sorry. Those role players play so much better at home. I don't get it.
And I'm resting James Harden.
I'm not.
I
wouldn't
do
play
think
him.
you got to rush James Harden.
Okay.
He won't rest,
so-
but you got to rest him.
I think he still had like 8 assists though. I think he had,
Sixers
like 4
update.
points though.
At halftime, they're up like 26,
Is it really?
62-36.
That's over.
They're fouling the crap out of Ben Simmons, so he might hit the over. I think they're doing a hack of Ben again.
Work our way back.
And
in the
Embiid's got
game.
like 25 at halftime.
Dude, that wasn't going to last.
I
That
mean,
bad game he had game 4, I knew that wasn't going to happen again.
After last game and all the BS that's going on, kind of within the game of the series with Trae Young flopping and the calls and the just crying, I think they had to know they were coming back here and getting whooped tonight.
Yeah. And the Sixers are putting it to him right now.
Listen, again, it's not a place I'd want to come play in the playoffs with
No.
full capacity now. That place.
And if Embiid's
rocks,
playing like
man.
this,
yeah.
he needs those type of shots before the game. I don't know if you can get him in Atlanta. We have illegally like putting him in his leg. You know what I mean?
Nah, they hide them in the suitcases. Trainers got him. He's getting the same thing. He just had a bad fourth quarter. I mean, it just happens. I mean, if he has a decent fourth quarter, then they win the night. It's probably over.
He was over 12 in the second half.
Yeah.
He didn't have a field goal.
Fourth quarter was really bad though.
I get it.
Falling down and chucking up hook shots from the 3-point line.
Stay
So,
aggressive, though.
the
If
whole-
I want to lose going down swinging.
I agree with you. That's funny story because my next point that we're about to bring up is the Scarecrow. I'm sick at him. The gutless wonder.
Gutless Wonder's a bit much.
Bro, I can't stand him, dude. I can't stand him. Every playoff series I watch him play, I hate him more. And there's never been a max player that we make so many damn excuses for. Well, he plays good defense. I don't care.
Can't say that.
He
to
took
you.
one shot in the second half.
People make
He
every
can't make
excuse in the
free
book
throws.
People make every excuse in the book for JoJo too. It's been that way since we got
JoJo dominates. They carried the whole team on his back.
JoJo wasn't this dominant before this season.
Correct.
That's fair, but this season,
And every time
has he dominated?
yes, 100%.
every game. Oh, not every game, but
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes, all year.
85%. Yep.
All I'm saying is they've both been coddled universally across the board since they've been here.
Okay,
It's been that
and
way.
Embiid gets it way more than Ben does.
Jo-
Before this year.
JoJo also gets more praise than Ben does. So I mean, I really feel like it equals out. JoJo goes out and has 25, and when we win the game by 30, it's like JoJo just went out and scored 60. Where it could be a game where Ben had 15, 10, and 10, and it'll all be on JoJo.
Yeah, 15, 10, and 10, and the 15 points were in the first half.
Well, I mean, they still count.
Gutless Wonder won't shoot the basketball.
He's not a shooter. You know,
It's not even shoot, just drive.
Again, like I don't want to get an argument about shooting because we knew that when we got him. Like this is what he's been. This is what he's going to be.
We were
He's
told
not-
he was going to develop a shot.
He shoots really well in
We were
practice.
told Jason
I'll tell
Kidd.
you. I mean, I never bought that he was going to be Jason Kidd.
Well, that's what we were told. That's what we were sold.
All right.
You pay him a max contract, and he shoots one time in the second half.
Are you saying that you wouldn't have paid him a max? Even max, or you just let him walk?
I would have traded him for Ja Morant 2 years ago, like for the second pick when Memphis wanted to do that. That's 100% what I want. The Sixers are like, no, we need more than the second pick. Okay.
It would look okay now. Back then, it would have been a bad trade.
People would have said it's a bad trade.
If you still have,
I did.
It would have been a bad trade up until this year.
If you still have Jimmy Butler on the team, that trade is great.
100%.
Right
That's
now,
what we did.
Don't know if it wins you a championship.
Doesn't.
Ja Morant, and Jimmy Butler, and Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid win us a championship.
Oh, now we're throwing Toby in there. Now we're throwing Toby in there.
Because you can
Everybody
max 3
hated
of
on
them.
Toby
Not
before the
me.
season.
Not me.
You can max 3 of them, though. I'm not saying that
You got to max all of them to keep
I'm
them.
not playing GM. I wouldn't have maxed Toby. You would have maxed Toby?
Then you would have lose Toby.
Okay,
Listen,
you would have maxed him?
That's a hell of an agent.
We'll go back to show 1 where you said you shouldn't have maxed him. You shouldn't have maxed him.
I said.
No one else was paying him to max.
He would have got more money than we got here, though.
That's a fact.
What do
He
you
wouldn't.
mean?
He
How
might not
he
have got
more
a,
money.
He might not have got a max somewhere else, but he would have been all day long, 4 or 5 years, $100+ million.
Yeah, give him the Al Horford contract. Exactly. Thank you.
Toby's
I love silence in the air.
Toby's earned every penny of that contract this year. For all the hate that he's got, he's played well.
Yes,
And
yes.
He's played great in the playoffs.
Yes, he has.
Toby is not a problem on his team.
Not right now.
He hasn't been at all.
Not this year. He hasn't. No.
Okay, well, that's what we're talking about.
You got Doc Rivers, and Doc
Yeah.
Rivers, he apparently is
That's
the Toby.
that's the
Toby
big thing
whisperer.
Right there. That's the big thing right there. Doc Rivers
Has his best years.
Best
with-
years under Doc.
Yep.
I agree with you 100%. Speaking of Doc Rivers, his old team, the Los Angeles Clippers, just got dealt the worst blow of the postseason.
They're done.
Looks like Kawhi Leonard might have a torn ACL.
Did they say it was torn, or did they just say it was an ACL injury? Because I haven't seen
They're
any.
calling it-
They're fearing it's a torn ACL.
They're calling it a sprained knee. I think the concerning part is after the game, he said he was fine. He didn't want to talk about the press conference. And then Tuesday, he apparently in the locker room and told everybody he was done. So I think they're trying to keep a lid on it just for, competitive reasons, make Utah think he might play.
Right.
I don't think it's torn. But again, if there's any kind of damage to it or anything like that, he's not playing.
Yeah.
So I think he felt one way Monday and probably woke up Tuesday and felt completely different.
Got the MRI on
Get the
it, and they were
MRI,
like,
and then exactly, and that's a wrap.
Um,
You want to talk about locks? Utah is the lock of the century tonight at home without Kawhi Leonard,
I mean,
and it's still only like -8, but it was 2.5 when it opened.
80% of money's on the Jazz tonight, dude. I don't know, bro. Something fishy tells me that the
Clippers
Clippers
cover?
keep that game close.
think they cover.
Yeah,
They don't
like,
win, but they cover.
They sit
might
between
cover.
that 2 and 8. You know what I mean? Like they lose by 5.
They might cover, but
think
I
they
mean,
win.
money line. I mean, again, you could still get them at like -280, which if you're parlaying them, it's great value for
Whole
a team
thing-
that's probably definitely going to win.
The whole thing with that game though is
A
that
team that's probably definitely.
Paul
like
George.
that.
My
Paul
picks
George
always win
is-
sometimes.
Paul George is a superstar. If he plays to his caliber that we know he can play, that game could be close, and the Clippers have a chance to win. Problem is, no one thinks he's going to play like that without Kawhi Leonard being on the court.
What do you? All right. Well, what do you think you need out of him tonight?
35.
He gives you. I was literally just going to say
I'll
he
say it.
has to score 35 and be 50% or better from the field.
I got better for you. What? So you just said no one thinks he's going to play that way, right? That's what you just said a minute ago. When has Paul George shown you he can play that way on the road in the playoffs?
One time,
playoffs, yeah.
when he was in Indiana going up against the Heat. He didn't shy away from LeBron that series.
He was too young to know what he was doing.
I would argue that when you get older, you'd be more comfortable, though.
No, you could also argue when you get older, the pressure is a lot more.
Yeah, but
when you're a young kid, when you're young, I can do everything. I'm 23.
Yeah, but you're going up against best player in the planet and the super team in Miami, and he was fearless with the team that was very much underwhelming, like with that roster-wise.
Pandemic P. Playoff P.
I also think Paul George is one of those dudes when he's the best person on the team. But he's not in like Indiana was perfect for him. He's the best player on the team.
Not too many spotlights.
Correct. I think he thrives there. I think going to LA, even being number 2
Oklahoma
on that team,
City? No one cared in Oklahoma City. They love their Thunder. They don't care if they lose by 50.
That's true.
Go Thunder!
But in the
They're
bigger picture though, he was kind of viewed as the KD replacement. So like he still had big shoes to fill.
That's fair.
So I think he still had pressure on him, although to your point, Oklahoma City doesn't care if they win or lose because they're, big fans there.
Okay. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this and just tell you that the Clippers pick I had, that they were going to win that series. I don't care what anyone says if Kawhi Leonard doesn't get hurt. I watched them turn a corner. Both games in LA were blowouts. Both games in Utah were close games that Utah basically got away from. I had no doubt in my mind that the Clippers are going to win that series. I had the Clippers in my finals, and they just ruined that. Kawhi with Kawhi's knee, and I hope Kawhi gets better, obviously, but that sucks.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. The problem is I don't want to say for sure they would have won just because
they still had to go to Utah to win,
and we keep seeing
both games in Utah. They had a chance to win.
Just like last series, when they were playing at home, it was like they were a completely different team than what they were playing on the road against Dallas. So, like, I just don't know which Clippers team I'm going to get, and I don't know if they would have been consistent enough to win too. Granted, I think to your point that the way that they looked in these last 2 games, yeah, I probably would have favored them, but I just don't know for a fact as much as you do.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it probably would have come down to them going to Utah and win Game 7. And not improbable, and I don't think anybody would be shocked if they woke up and the Clippers won that game. Definitely don't think it's a lock or anything.
I actually thought they were going to win tonight with Kawhi. I thought they were going to win tonight and then close out in 6. I said Clippers in 6 before the series started. But last thing we want to talk about NBA, and we got to get an NHL. We got Campbell sitting here. He's can't wait to get in hockey. He's just ready.
I don't know if his microphone even works.
we got to get into the 2 coach firings. Stan Van Gundy, Scott Brooks. I'm so sad to see Scott Brooks go.
You hate Scott Brooks.
I do hate Scott Brooks. I like a lot of people in the NBA. I like a lot of players, a lot of coaches. Like, I've sent you my lists. I don't like Scott Brooks. So Scott Brooks fired, Stan Van Gundy fired. Do either one surprise you?
Well, Scott Brooks wasn't fired. They couldn't agree to terms.
We didn't agree to terms.
His contract was up.
He's probably asking for too much money for a team that wasn't too good.
Well, I mean, he's probably asking for a lot of money because he knows in 2 years neither one of those guys are going to be there, and he's going to be coaching a bunch of bums, and it's not worth going through the hassle of losing 55 games every year. I'm not super surprised at that. I'm surprised at Van Gundy. They played very well down the stretch, and again, he had periods where Zion was out hurt, had COVID.
Played well down the stretch.
They won. They had a bunch of upsets down the stretch.
That team should have been in the playoffs.
I agree, but when you have Ingram, when your 2 best players both missing time over the year in a crowded, very competitive West, it's going to happen.
I guess they didn't make the play-in game either. You had 10 seeds.
You had Golden State in the play-in. That's what I mean. Like, that's what you're going up against. It's not like it's not the East.
You also had Spurs in the play-in game when they had nobody.
Correct. And Memphis.
Spurs were in the 5th seed till like a month ago in the season and faltered down the stretch. You can't even say anything about the Spurs. But again,
and Memphis.
Those are the type of teams you're playing against.
You have Zion.
It's not Charlotte in the East.
You have Eric Bledsoe. You got Lonzo Ball.
Okay.
You got Adams. Like, that team should
They
be in the playoffs,
all
bro.
miss significant time. That's my only point.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying he should have.
Do you not think that team took a step
leash
back this year?
I don't.
With a different coach, do you think they make the playoffs?
Yes.
No.
If your answer is yes, that's why Van Gundy got fired. You said no. I would say yes too. I think they're at least in the play-in game. You can't tell me they're not a top 10 seed with a different coach. So I would say
If
yes
you lined
for
up
that
the
one.
Spurs and the Pelicans against the wall and just start picking players,
Even with Zion and
how
BI out.
many players get picked before one Spurs
Doesn't
player gets
matter.
picked?
All right. But when you pick Zion, you're like, oh, I'm not going to have him for 25 games. Like that's a difference. It makes a difference. I'm not saying they have more talent, but again, they were in the
Way
fifth
more
seed.
talent.
Agreed, but they were in the fifth seed, and Popovich is a better coach. But they're in the fifth seed because they had their players all year long.
Popovich is a better coach. That is a fact.
Factual
statement, my friend.
Ingram, I think, missed close to 20. Zion missed close to 20. They're not a deep enough team to absorb that. They're just not. And that's not an all Van Gundy thing.
I actually think they are a very deep team as far as
Okay.
talent goes.
I don't think
Like going off the bench, you still have Josh Hart. Like he's a good player.
Jackson Hayes off the bench is
Exactly.
young player.
That's
I mean,
not good. They're not great.
They have
And they're
decent
young.
players off the bench. I will say that I don't think, to be honest, I don't think Van Gundy should have ever got this job in the first place. So for him to be,
Alvin Gentry should get fired.
for him to be let go, correct?
Yeah.
For him to get let go, I'm not like mad at it because I don't think he should have had the job in the first place. I do agree with you though. I think he did get a bad shake of things for it to only be 1 year, and you have all these young guys. You would think you at least get 2 years to groom them to get to the playoffs. But I'm not going to say I'm happy for it. I'm never happy to see a guy get fired, but I am happy that the Pelicans are moving in a different direction.
Let's be fair about this for a minute, okay? You think the experiment by trying to turn Zion into a point forward and destroying the development of Lonzo was a smart experiment?
Of course not.
Okay, that's my point. So that was his experiment, right? And now you're going to lose Lonzo, which is, I guess he's not that good. Okay, I think he's a decent player. I think he's like,
I don't think anybody thinks he's bad. He's good. He's just not, again, like coming into the league, he was the next Chris Paul. He's not going to be that guy ever.
I don't think he's ever. I don't know anyone to compare
The
him to Chris
word
Paul.
elite was mentioned with him all the time when he got drafted.
You give me-
Elite
by
point
his
guard.
dad? You
No,
give me
by,
a guy.
by
I mean, he
people
was
in
number two
national.
pick. He was number two
yeah.
pick overall.
Elite.
He was number
He's
two.
not.
If you give me a guy, I think Lonzo at his peak, I think he could be a guy that gives you 16, 17, 6, and 8
I think
consistently.
Lonzo. I think
And I
Lonzo
would
at
love
his
that
peak,
from a point guard.
I think Lonzo at his peak could be better than Rajon Rondo.
Yeah, he's a better shooter than him, and he does the exact same thing. Yes.
That's my point.
Yes, I'm
Like
with
the
you.
comparison's right there, and I think he's a better shooter, but he has to hit that peak. Rajon Rondo is now the problem is Rajon Rondo is nuts.
Rajon Rondo also got
Nuts,
to play
but
with
also a very
3
smart
Hall of
player.
Fame players, though.
And very good defensively.
Agreed.
Rondo before Kevin Garnett, KG, Ray Allen, all those guys were there. I mean, he was decent, but when you have those caliber players around you, it definitely helps your growth as a player. So if Lonzo can go to the right environment, 100%, I think he can hit that.
He was also hurt this year.
What's next for? Well, they had Eric Bledsoe too, so they have plenty of point guards.
Yeah, but again, Bledsoe's proven he's not a 40-minute guy. He's not.
What's next for
They're a bench guy no matter where he goes.
the Wizards? He was a starter from Milwaukee last year.
And they traded for Drew Holiday because they weren't getting over the hump with him.
I get it. I'm just
saying.
You're saying a bench player anywhere he goes. I don't agree with that.
He's
What's next for the Wizards?
If you're starting point guard, you're probably not a good team.
The Bucks were the 1 seed last year, starting point guard.
Okay. Not because of him.
You said if he was a starting point guard,
Did they
you're
win
not
anything?
a good team.
That's what I'm saying. Did they win anything?
Were they a
No.
good team?
What did Bledsoe do in the playoffs last year? He got exposed.
I get it.
Okay, so he's not a good player. He's a great bench guy.
I can't say
he's
not
a
a good
20
player.
25 minute guy. If he's your number one guy that you're counting on, like if you're gonna
anybody's, I don't think he's anybody's number 1 guy. I don't think he'd be a number 1 guy on any team in the league.
So look what I just said. I say he's a bench guy.
No, you said number
I
1.
say he's a
guy.
bench guy.
I don't think he's a bench.
I
guy.
say he's a bench guy no matter what. Okay. Anyway,
What's next for the Wizards, in your opinion?
Jason Kidd.
That's an interesting name. I think they go. I got 2 here. If they want to blow it all up, they go with a college coach. If they're going to get rid of Beal and Westbrook, I think they go with a college coach that can develop some young talent. Scott Drew will be the name that comes to mind. Or if you want to keep those guys, but you want a leader in the locker room, Chauncey Billups.
I like Chauncey Billups.
I like Chauncey too. I think the Washington job is very unattractive because I think you have to know going in you're not going to have either one of them, and I think that is.
How do you know that? Neither one are unrestricted free agents.
Brett, I mean,
That's
Beal-
true, but how long is Washington going to be okay with being middle of the pack? And especially if it comes
It's not
out
about it being okay. If you're a coach that walks in there on a small deal, 2-3 year deal, and you have Westbrook and Beal, and you bring a third free agent in to play with them, and they win this year, Like that's like there's a lot of worse. You know what a worse situation was? Walking in Houston with James Harden walking out the door.
But if you go
the only thing with Houston is they're rebuilding, so going in.
He didn't know that when he took the job.
Okay, but
James
when
Harden was there,
right?
They got John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins.
But after that, they blew it up, and now it is what it is. Again, depending on what management and ownership's going to tell him, if we're walking into the interview, and they're telling you that's the way they're leaning, then that's what they're going, and then you take the job based upon that. Bradley Beal's made no bones he doesn't want to stay there. So
other thing too is that you fired the guy. I'm sure Russell Westbrook loves Scott Brooks, and you fired probably his favorite coach. I mean, he had him when he was in OKC, and now he had him again, and they actually started winning down the stretch, and these players started to trust him, and now you got him out the door. So it really just depends on who's unhappy, who wants to get out. Like there is a lot of uncertainty in that Washington job.
Okay, so I like your Chauncey Billups one. So you're gonna kind of sway me. I'm going Chauncey Billups in Washington because I agree with you. And I don't know why I feel this, but I feel like Mark Jackson's going to come back and play for Coach New Orleans.
Mark Jackson's the guy I got for the New Orleans job too. He's a guy.
He was one of the two I had.
He's one of the guys that can go in there, change the culture. They'll play defense, which is something that I feel like they weren't bought into this year. He'll get all those guys to play defense, and then they'll play hard for him. He's a player's
turning
coach.
down jobs? How did he not get another job after that Golden State job?
I think it's similar to what we saw with John Gruden. Like, he wants to go to the right spot for the right amount of money because you
got to remember how it ended in Golden State too. He was very disenfranchised with the way that ended because they were pretty much a year away at that point, and he went through all the bad crap with all of them when they were drafting, and they kind of kicked him.
Correct.
Oh, again, I left a bad taste in his mouth, and I think that's why he went right into broadcasting for a while, and I think he kind of pulled back.
And he has a legit niche broadcasting. Mark Jackson is a guy you want prime time every game.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think
you don't want to leave that kind of job for an uncertainty job. You go to New Orleans and you don't perform.
Agreed. And he has the pedigree and the results to nitpick jobs like that. Like if he wants to get involved or interview for one, he will. If not, I think he can call his own shot to that degree. He's one of the names I had. The other one I have because the name he keeps starting floating around after being assistant for so long is Sam Cassell.
I make Bucks like Milwaukee, because like Sam, I can sell.
I think he's gonna be a good coach. I mean, he was, a lot of people didn't like him when he played, but he was a very smart player. He definitely got the most out of his talent, his abilities. And I think with the young kids there, I think they want somebody who played the game. I think they want a Chauncey, a Mark Jackson, Cassell. I don't think you're gonna get a guy like a Scott Brooks type guy in New Orleans. I think they're gonna bring in a guy that played in the NBA. So, and I think that's what those kids need. So,
all right. Well, Sixers up 22 in the third quarter. We're gonna pass it over to NHL. We got Campbell's corner. Put him on the screen. Loving it. He looks so excited to be here.
So handsome.
All right. So, we got two. I don't know if the Vegas series is gonna be good. We have two NHL series going on right now.
I think you'll learn a lot tonight.
Yeah, I do. The Islanders went into Tampa and won game one. And, Tampa, this is never something I ever want to hear from a playoff hockey team. They're like, we just, really weren't ready for the game. I couldn't believe that quote came out.
It's crazy. And
we're really ready for the Eastern Conference Championship.
It is, but it's at the same time.
Game one.
I get it. It's a lame excuse. You just got beat. But
we said something about that though with the Clippers and Jazz series when the Clippers went 7 games and we thought they were going to be a little bit fresher. Tampa Bay was sitting for a while, so you can't say that in the media that's your excuse, but that I think that same thing applies though. You sat for a little bit, you're a little bit rustier, and it takes you a little minute to kick it into gear, but you can't say that in the media.
I think we have to take a second to recognize what Tampa is right now. And Tampa knows exactly what it is. They're a team that cheated the salary cap all season long. They spent 25% more than any other team in the NHL, and they know they have that kind of talent. And I think they came into the Islander series and they saw a team on the other side of the ice that was far inferior to them in terms of talent, and they thought they were just going to walk right over them. And the fact of the matter is, this is the exact kind of team that can beat Tampa. Barry Trotz is arguably the best coach in the entire NHL. The Islanders play a tough defensive system. They give you nothing. They finish every single check. And, a team like Tampa with that kind of talent, they don't want to get hit. They don't want to get into a dogfight. And that's what we have here.
Now you see why we brought him into the studio? That was some expert analysis right there. Shally, rebuttal.
There's no rebuttal. I
don't know.
It's
Fight.
Tampa Bay.
Round 2.
Tampa Bay woke up last night, and I mean that game kind of went how I think a lot of people thought most of the series was going to. It was 4-1. I think it was 1-1 after 1, and after that it was all Tampa Bay the rest of the night. They are by far, to your analogy, putting players on a wall and picking them. You're going to pick a lot of Tampa guys before you start picking Islander guys. And to Tom's point, you've guys on the ice that, if you're going by the strict salary cap rules, they have guys in the lineup that shouldn't be on the ice. They exploited the loophole perfectly. I think you're going to see it close after this year because I think a lot of teams behind the scenes are going to be pissed and are going to bitch. I think you're going to see a change in it. But again, you look at their roster, man. I mean, they have all world players up and down it. They have debatably the best goalie in the league. They're just really good. It's got to be a muck and grind, low scoring series for the Islanders to stay in it and stay relevant. If you start seeing Tampa Bay scoring 4 or 5 goals a game, that means Tampa Bay's winning.
So let me tell you the biggest key for the Islanders winning this series. It's staying out of the penalty box.
Yep.
Last night, what Tampa Bay did is they came out and they instigated. They got gloves in faces. They got sticks on sticks. There was stuff going on after every single whistle. And the Islanders are not a team to sit there and take it. They fought back, and instead of giving 2 power plays to Tampa in the first game, they scored on one of them. They gave 5 power plays to Tampa last night. Now Tampa technically only scored on 1, but Point's first goal came 7 seconds after a power play. That's 2 power play goals right there. If you're scoring on 40% of your power plays, you're going to win games, and the Islanders have to figure out a way to take those shots from Tampa because they're going to keep bringing them. And not, go sit for 2 minutes as a result of it.
For us casual hockey fans out here like myself, I want you to explain what you mean by them exploiting the loophole. Because I get it in a small sense, but I need a better understanding of it.
So the NHL salary cap is a little bit it's actually very different from other sports.
It's a hard cap.
It's a hard cap, and it's calculated on a daily cap hit. So whereas in the NFL, in Major League Baseball, you're taking a guy's annual salary, and that's what's counting against the cap. In the NHL, the salary is broken down on a daily basis. So there's 2 ways that you can actually end up going over the cap. One is if you're under the cap, every day you can just bank space, bank space, bank space. The other way is you have a guy get hurt, and he goes on the long-term injured list. Now, they don't pull that money off. They actually give you a bonus to go over the cap, as silly as that sounds. So what Tampa did is all season long, they had their best player, Nikolai Kucherov. He was on the LTIR all season long. So his $10.5 million, whatever, they were just getting a bonus cushion for that. Then the other thing they did is all season long they were shuffling guys on and off the long-term injured list so that they could essentially have more talent, putting it on, pulling it off, putting it on, pulling it off. End of the season, they go out and they try to do trade deadline acquisitions, but they have no money. They've been over the cap all season. So Steven Stamkos goes on the long-term injured list. Surprise, surprise. Game 1 of the playoffs, Kucherov's healthy, Stamkos is healthy, and now they have a $100 million payroll when everyone else is playing with 80.
The easiest way to explain it, say an NFL, kind of like Tom said, NFL or MLB, your salary cap, you have your hit for the year. Whereas the salary cap in the NHL is literally calculated daily. So when you do pull people off, your salary cap hit will literally float by the day. So if you have very good people that know how to work the system, you see what you did this year. Stamkos, nobody knew anything about him for the last 2 months of the season. I don't know if we're going to play, blah, blah, blah. Comes out the first game, he's skating 100 miles an hour. He was fine. He was fine.
The other thing to keep in mind here is because they do this daily cap hit, playoffs is capless, which is why game 1 of the playoffs, these guys are suddenly healthy.
Yep. All of a sudden, guys didn't play 2 months. You walk in the dressing room, and again, it popped up on my phone. Stamkos, Kucherov going to start. I'm like, oh, it's crazy. Nobody's seen him in practice for 2 months, and now they're in the game 1 lineup, and they're just outscoring goals. It's something I think the NHL is going to have to address because, again, to Tom's point, everybody else is playing with a $75 million payroll, and Tampa Bay's playing with a close to $100 million payroll right now, and they don't need any more help than they already have. So.
One last thing I want to mention about the Tampa Islanders series, Vasilevsky in net, unbelievable. I have never seen a goalie, and I've been a part of the game for a long time, watched the game since as long as I can remember, the way this guy goes down, makes a save, figures out a way to push with the lower half of his body across that crease and still get there to make the stop. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody be able to do it like that.
Only person that even remotely is close to that to me was
Dominic Roussel, right?
No.
I'm kidding.
Was Quick. Jonathan Quick back in the early, when they were doing their cup runs, he was unbelievable. He's one of the quickest goalies I've ever seen. And Quick,
Imagine that.
Not a Garsnow guy.
Quick was even Quick's even smaller than Vasilevsky is. Quick's a little guy. People don't realize that too.
Quick was quick.
All right, so while we're talking about great goalies, Flower, Price, other series,
Flower?
Marc-Andre Fleury.
That's his nickname.
I never heard him be called Flower. This is because I'm a cash.
Because you're a cash.
I'm a cash.
You're a cash.
Cash stand together.
Let me ask you this: can Montreal win this series?
No. I will say this: Carey Price 100% will steal one of these games. I do think Montreal win a game, but I mean, he's still probably the best goalie left in the playoffs, maybe other than Vasilevsky, but he's on the worst team of the 4 teams that are left.
If Montreal wins tonight, does that change any of your thinking with the series?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it has to. I mean, you're going back to Montreal. I'll tell you what's hurting them now. They still don't have fans, correct?
Montreal does not know.
Yeah. I mean, the Canadian teams are getting hosed in that aspect because I promise you, playoff hockey in Canada, like if you go back to Game 3, that place, Bell Center will be jumping if they're being in the Western Conference Finals.
The Bell Center is actually designed architecturally in a way where the seats almost go straight up. So
like the old Spectrum.
The whole crowd is right on top of the ice. It gets so ungodly loud in that place, and they're at a significant disadvantage because of it.
Montreal's already up 2-0.
What?
I'm kidding. Just want to see what you guys said.
No, I still genuinely believe there's a way Montreal wins this series. Vegas, throughout their history, has had a tendency for their offense to go cold. Now they're a stronger team this year than they were last year. They're slotted in better, but you even saw it in the Minnesota series. Talbot's not a great goalie, but he started making some saves and they started doubting themselves. Is this last year all over again? Is this 2 years all over again? And they're facing a real goalie on the other side in this series. So if Price can steal a game, maybe 2, all of a sudden that doubt starts to creep in. Those sticks start getting held a little bit tighter. Jeff Petrie comes back from injury. I mean, that was a killer. Losing the guy that anchors their second defense pairing, it's really hurting the back end for Montreal. But if Price can steal a game for them before Petrie comes back, it could happen.
He's got to steal either tonight or Game 3. If you can make,
can't get out of control.
Well, I'm saying, but if you can make it,
he's got to get one before they go up 3-0.
No, but listen, I mean, Colorado steamrolled them twice, and then they were a completely different team the rest of the series. They won 4 in a row. Hockey's funny like that.
Gentleman's sweep.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think tonight I'll tell you.
Term,
I think a lot. You'll learn a lot tonight. The way that series is going to go. I think if Vegas wins handily again tonight, then they might be in trouble.
Fun fact for that Montreal Vegas series: Matthias Janmark, he scored a big goal last game. He had a hat trick in the first round. He was a deadline acquisition for them, and when it happened, everyone said, who? As a Flyers fan, I paid a lot of attention to that because apparently the deal that Vegas had on the table was to acquire Nolan Patrick from the Flyers for that second, third round pick. Chuck Fletcher balked at it, and they turned to Chicago and they took Janmark. As we look now, and Nolan Patrick is changing agents and apparently asking for a trade out of Philly. Suddenly, that second and third is not looking too bad, huh?
I've been on record since it happened with Nolan Patrick. I don't buy the headache excuse whatsoever. I think he had concussion issues. I just think they don't want to say it. They don't want to go down the Lindros road again.
But Nolan Patrick's biggest thing coming out was he's soft.
No, his biggest thing coming out was injury.
Yeah.
He had the hernia, he had the knee, but never really any history of concussions or headaches or anything. And then once he got diagnosed with it here, they started talking about it runs in his family. His mom gets migraines. His grandfather gets.
He has not been the same player since he got rocked in that game. And you saw it this year. I think he's a minus 30 something at the end of the year. And the big gripe with him was in the offensive zone, he would not. He literally skated around the outside of the zone as a center. He would not go down. Like he avoided contact pretty much at every turn as he could. He's a very tentative player right now. I don't know if we're going to trade him or what we're going to do. But the expansion draft's probably going to shed a lot of light on a lot of that stuff, but we'll see. I'm not as high on him as I was 2 years ago.
I would not be shocked at all to see him as a throw-in piece to unload a big salary. Send Jake Voracek out. We'll give you Patrick if you take Voracek. He's former second overall pick. Maybe he can turn into something for you.
I mean, I think a lot of that's going to depend on what happens with the other thing we've talked about, the Kevin Hayes issue. So I'm going to be very, very anxious to see the list when it comes out with the expansion draft, which I think they should be out in like another, 2 weeks. I think they have to be. I think it's like June 26th or something. Kevin Hayes apparently made a lot of waves behind closed doors this year, so he is not on good terms in that locker room with the Flyers right now, or upper management. So it could be a surprise name to some to see him unprotected, but I think there's a better chance than not that you might see it. So
he does have a no movement clause. We'd have to get him to waive it. Yeah. But I've heard rumblings that they're looking into possibly terminating his contract. Apparently something went down, COVID related. It kind of divided the locker room. It seemed like he was organizing events for the younger guys to go out because they were, getting depressed and things like that. Some of the older vets that have families, have kids and whatnot, they didn't take too kindly to it. And, you kind of saw it on the ice.
Well, and if you look at the Flyers season, it's a tale of two seasons. They were playing very well before COVID, and then COVID hit, and G got it, and a couple other guys got it, and they were not the same after that. So again, if that played into it, then there's going to be division, especially again. G's the captain. He's the one thing as much as he gets criticized for stuff he does on the ice sometimes, you haven't heard a bad thing come out about him in the last 8 years about how he handles the locker room. And now all of a sudden there's an issue with Kevin Hayes. So I don't think Kevin Hayes is going to win that battle. So I'll be the next 2 weeks are going to be very telling of what kind of direction they're heading in next year and what they're going to do with the roster.
Well, any more notes that you have on NHL for your Campbell's Corner? Because we got to get into venues bracket soon.
Yeah, last thing I think is worth mentioning is the awards are being announced right now. The second one comes out tonight. It's the Willie O'Ree Award. The one that came out last night, though, was the Masterson Award. And
you got to explain the awards for us casual people.
So the Masterson Award is it's for dedication and perseverance in the sport of hockey.
Okay.
So Oscar Lindblom, the guy from the Flyers, last year was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma. It had 70% survival rate. He fought through it. He actually came back. He played the last 2 games in that Islander series in the playoffs. It was unreal, a huge lift for us. Played this season, struggled a little bit. You could see he had a little bit of muscle still to grow back and whatnot, but he really overcame a lot. He's a huge inspiration for the room. I haven't heard a negative thing about him. So he won the award over Matt Dumba, who is very, very involved with the Black Lives Matter movement, inclusion in hockey, things like that. And then Patrick Marleau, who this year set the record for games played in NHL history at 1779. He passed Gordie Howe in the process.
Like the shirt. How fitting you're wearing the shirt. Oscar Strong. I like it. Was that intentional?
Of course.
It was definitely intentional.
I love it. I love it. And then they have another award coming out tonight. So let's get into our venues now. Can you pop that up on the screen? We have our Elite 8. I can't. This is, last week you seen Lambeau Field went home.
Bye.
Lambeau Field went home. All right, so you want to start left or right? You're a guest. You pick left or right.
I'm a lefty. Let's go left.
Okay, we're starting right where we're at right now then. Augusta National versus Cameron Indoor. Before anybody gets into their votes, let me just explain how this works real quick. We have 4 people in studio. If we deadlock 2-2, we will put the vote up on the Wire to Wire Facebook page, and we will allow the fans to vote to see which one moves on. I love having 4 people in the studio for this, just for that specific fact, getting our fans more involved. The last fan vote we had 70 votes, or maybe close to 100 votes. I think it was like 54.
Yeah, it was closer to 100.
Stop the count.
We're at Augusta National versus Cameron Indoor. Cameron Indoors were Duke plays basketball. Augusta National is the most pretty golf course in the world. Trey, you want to start us off this week?
Give me the crazies. No, I'm just kidding. Augusta National, it's not even close.
Gamble?
I can't pick Cameron Indoor. I'm a Pitt guy. Duke sucks. I'm kidding. Pitt's still a Big East team. The Grateful Dead did play there 4 times, and my parents love that, but it's still Augusta National all day long.
You sound like Gene talking about Rihanna and Eminem, different venues.
There was a good concert there. It's got to win.
Hey, listen.
It's the only major concert they've ever had there, and the Dead played there 4 different times. I thought it was interesting.
I'm going Augusta National here. I don't think that's very tough, and I know where Bill's going, so
we don't even care about Bill's vote.
No, we don't. Not on this
Clean
one.
sweep.
After he eliminated Lambeau, he's not allowed to. We know where he's going at this point.
Bye.
This is. Do you want to talk about a battle of?
This is the toughest one.
Yeah, you want to talk about a battle of like not state of the art, but like just what's the right way to words to put for it? But these are just classic stadiums / venues that are old,
historical
landmarks.
That's it right there. The landmark Americana. Wrigley Field, where the Chicago Cubs play baseball, versus Madison Square Garden, the Mecca, where the Knicks, the Rangers play hockey. The Knicks play basketball, obviously, and there's the Big East tournament there also. There's a lot more things in Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden is hoard out really bad.
Big East tournament, that's a big one. I forgot about it.
Yeah, Big East tournament's there.
MSG and the O2 Arena are actually the 2 venues. They bounce back and forth almost every other year for which hosts more musical acts throughout the year.
100%. It's another musical acts too. Shally, start with you on this one.
We totally whiffed on O2 Arena. Thanks, Tom. I've made no disillusions about how I feel about Madison Square Garden. And then you're going to pit basketball pretty much against baseball for me.
Hockey too.
Yeah, but it's the Rangers and they suck and I don't like them. So
and they're in New York. So.
And they're in New York, and New York's a shithole. So I'm going with Wrigley Field.
Okay, Tom.
I'm going to try to keep the positive things, or keep the things I say about MSG positive.
I know where this vote's going.
It's the only NBA and NHL arena that isn't named after a sponsor, and I'm done there. Wrigley Field is a national historical landmark, legitimately historical landmark. Wrigley, it is.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go Madison Square Garden. It's the Mecca. It's in the middle of New York City. It hosts way more events, way more sporting events. It's Madison Square Garden. I don't know how else to explain it, except the fact that it hosts a Big East tournament. It hosts the Rangers. It hosts the Knicks. We're talking about a baseball field that hosts one team, and it's a beautiful baseball field. But Madison Square Garden is my pick.
They play bowl games there. Northwestern usually plays there once a year.
That's fair. I am going to say that I base this off of which venue is better visually and which has more allure to me. Just because they both have a big history behind them.
That's the opposite, though.
What do you mean?
Wrigley looks better, and Madison Square Garden has more allure.
How does
I think I'm gonna get there.
Okay.
I think Wrigley has more allure. And I've seen MSG up close. There was nothing, especially with me being like right up on it, there was nothing that made me go, wow.
No.
I'm at Madison Square Garden. So for me, I picked Wrigley Field.
Wrigley Field is moving on.
And Wrigley's a place I want to go to.
So you got Wrigley versus Augusta National next week.
I'll tell you the best part is Wrigleyville around it. They've done a very good job with that. I mean, it's literally, it's just a really cool area.
100%. I love Wrigley Field. I'm not. All right, so this is we got Fenway Park, and I know where Tom's vote's going to be. You got Fenway Park versus Wimbledon Center Court. Shall I want you to start us off on this one?
I'm very fond of Wimbledon, so don't get me wrong. I've made no bones about it. I watch Wimbledon every year, and I watch a lot of it. I think it's an awesome tennis tournament to watch. Watching these guys hit a ball 100 miles an hour on grass is just, I mean, it sounds easy, but then if you really think about it and go try to do it, you'd be like, no, I can't do this.
This sounds like a setup for a.
No, I mean, listen, if they're, for anything I could say about.
That's exactly what this is.
About Wrigley, I could say for Fenway, and then probably then some. Fenway is the coolest ballpark I've ever been in. And that's tough for me to say because, like you, I have a hatred for Boston sports teams. But it's an absolute landmark. And again, the second you walk inside that stadium, you feel different. I mean, it's so old. It has so much history. There's so many amazing things that have happened there, good and bad for Boston. We said from the get-go, this is probably going to be one of the ones at the end, and I don't see how it's not. For me, it's Fenway.
Catrell.
I'm going with Fenway too. I just
wanted to see if it was going to be a sweep because I knew where he was going.
I just thought about it, and these baseball stadiums really have a huge advantage being around since like the 1800s.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the allure.
It's like they're cheating almost.
Wimbledon's been around since 1877. It's the oldest venue on this list. It shocked me when I read about it.
That's why you bring the hockey guy.
I'm going with Fenway also. I love Wimbledon. I said Wimbledon was one of the favorites coming in. I thought it could be like a 1 or 2 seed. Fenway Park, to me, is the best baseball stadium in the country.
Agreed.
So I'm going Fenway.
I love the history of Wimbledon. I love the all-white uniform thing, the bowing to the royalty. I love how old it is, the uniqueness.
It's actually one of the reasons I didn't vote for it.
Of the grass
court. Bowing to nobody. Just kidding.
But
strawberries and cream.
Ultimately, I love baseball stadiums because they're all unique. I can go around and I can watch hockey, and every arena feels the same. They all look the same. Baseball parks are different, and Fenway is the most different of the different. Fenway for me.
Yeah, so we're not going to need to fan vote at all because if we need to fan vote on this last one, I'm going to be pissed off. I'll start with this one. We have the Rose Bowl versus the Staples Center.
This is Gene's baby.
This is Rose Bowl. It's the prettiest football stadium in the country. It's like so. Lambeau, in my opinion, is like the one that has the most allure, the frozen tundra, and like gives me the most chills. But the Rose Bowl is gorgeous, man. Like I couldn't see. There's not a better looking football field in the world than the Rose Bowl. I'm going the Rose Bowl and not by a landslide here.
I'll go next. I'm going Rose Bowl as well. Staples Center shouldn't even be here. It's not even as good as MSG, and you've already heard my opinion on that place. So it's not old enough, doesn't have enough history, and again, the Rose Bowl is. Just watch the Rose Bowl every year, and you'll watch it for 5 minutes, and that's all you need to know. It's literally like if you made like Augusta into a football stadium, you would get the Rose Bowl. That's what you would get. So it's Rose Bowl for me.
And like just going back to your point last week, the sun going down on the field in the middle of
there's a reason
New Year's Day
There's a reason they start that game at 5 o'clock every year.
Oh my god!
Because they wanted that game starts in sunlight, ends in the night. The field itself is literally pristine. It is one of the most closely manicured, gorgeous playing surfaces you can play on.
I completely agree with you, Tom.
There are 2 national historical landmarks in this competition.
I love your facts, by the way.
I
love all of them.
We got a Don on the show.
We do.
This is
we
the
found our
second
Don.
one. So Rose Bowl for me. I don't get the Staples Center love. I know the Lakers won a lot of championships, but it's an average arena.
I mean, the Staples Center. I'm not going to vote for Daytona over it. That's what we went against.
Hey man, Daytona sent Ohio home, so Ohio State home.
Well, I'm going to go with the Rose Bowl here too. Lately, it's been like Ohio State's second home, so this is my home away from home. I'm going with the Rose Bowl.
I love the shot thrown.
No shot. We have more Rose Bowl victories than they do.
Yeah,
read a book.
When you were watching it in black and white, and you had your dirty coaches coaching you guys.
Dirty coaches. No.
Guys, I'm looking at the Final Four, and we can talk all we want about the way things were seeded. We can talk all we want about the way things played out. But to have those Final Four left, there's not too much argument at home.
Cream rises to the top, bro.
I mean, honestly, like if you switched out Wrigley for Lambeau,
No.
That's like the only argument I'd have.
I would still vote Wrigley.
You'd vote Wrigley over Lambeau?
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
I mean, I think it's tough, but I mean, if Lambeau's the odd one out there, I don't think you would be too mad if. I don't think you can be too mad with what's left.
No, I don't think anybody could. So you got Augusta National, Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, and the Rose Bowl. Like that's if you're talking venues across the world, if you get to go to all four of them, everything else is kind of second class.
Fenway Rose Bowl's a bloodbath.
Fenway Rose Bowl.
That's tough.
That's gonna be a fun one.
It is.
Might have to get Tom in next week. I need a vote.
Tom, you might have to call in. You might
Oh wait, no. I might not need that vote.
Yeah.
I feel like the other side of the bracket is going to eat Bill apart. Augusta and Wrigley.
Yeah, it's his two favorites.
Yeah. I would say it would be worse if it was Augusta Fenway.
He's tipped his hand. He likes Fenway more than Wrigley.
I do. I have no qualms saying that. I've been to both of them. I love both of them.
So Tom, are you a golf guy?
I'm not a golf guy, unfortunately.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna get into our U.S. Open stuff. Are you a College World Series guy? Omaha.
Road to Omaha.
Do you have it? You got to be kidding me.
I can definitely do one of those.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So,
Tom.
Tom's not done for the show. Tom will be back for You Got to Be Kidding Me. So let's get into U.S. Open. Do you want to break it down and then we'll give our picks?
I'll break it down.
You're not giving your picks first, Bill. I want you to know that.
I'll go last. That's
okay,
fine.
great.
I have no problem going last. All right, so 121st U.S. Open, Torrey Pines Golf Club, the South Course, the more world-renowned, the tougher course of the two. Defending Open is Gene's boy, Bryson Meathead DeChambeau. Last time the U.S. Open was held at Torrey Pines, Mr. Tiger Woods won. That was the ACL year. Very, very tough setup this week. We've already had a bunch of guys already talk about it from the practice rounds. Thing that makes Torrey unique versus a lot of other U.S. Open venues, green size is on the smaller side. It's a little bit more of a wide open course, but the fairways will be a little bit wider this year, but the rough will be even more penalizing. I know we were talking about right before we came on air. I saw a segment earlier today real quick. Golf Channel went out with Patrick Reed, and he literally just took two golf balls, dropped one place, 6 feet from the other. The one place it stood up, could easily hit it, wouldn't punish anybody. The next one literally disappeared under 5.5 inches of grass. If you miss a bunch of fairways this week, you are going to struggle big time. Greens aren't overly difficult or overly fast; they're just small. So if you miss a lot of greens, a lot of chips, you'll have a lot of difficult short game situations. So it'll be fun to watch. They're calling for good weather. Obviously, it's on the coast. It's just like Pebble. Wind's going to play a factor. And then, God willing, hopefully at some point we get Bryson and Brooks. I would love to be the final pairing on Sunday. I can't imagine. I mean, we probably won't get it, but
I would love it to be a pairing any day.
Well, I mean, you can only get it Saturday and Sunday now, but
yeah, Saturday.
I'm all for it. I think the USGA pushed that a little bit because I really think they were afraid what was going to happen, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean,
Brooks don't want that smoke.
Stop.
All right, so we want to get into our picks?
Go for it.
Catrell, good.
All right, so I got 3 different picks for you guys. These odds for this tournament is kind of insane. I was talking to Shally about it a little bit before we came on. My favorite in this one, and it's funny because he's not the best odds guy, Mark Leishman is my favorite in this one. He always plays well at Torrey Pines, and I couldn't believe how low he was. He's plus 8,500, and this is a guy he's won there before. Farmers Insurance.
Yep, it's from the Farmers. They play Farmers every year.
He's come in second a couple times. Like, this is a guy who plays that course very well, and for him to be plus 8,500 is crazy to me. I also like Tony Finau at plus 2,400. That's a guy who's also played well. He played well early in January. I know the course will be a little bit different weather-wise, but
he's got to win one eventually.
He's played well there earlier this year. And then I like my long shot. It'll be crazy if he wins 2 majors in the same year. Phil Mickelson's always played well, Torrey Pines. I think you got to at least think about him. He's at plus 6,000. So those are my 3.
The only guy that's got more victories there than him is Tiger. So
no chance that Phil wins that back-to-back.
If he's in it this Sunday, though, that place is going to be insanity.
I agree.
If he's in it, and especially because he needs the U.S. Open to complete the Grand Slam. He has 6 second-place finishes in the U.S. Open.
So I have 4, and I'm gonna end up laying down $500 on this U.S. Open. Carmen, I hope you're not listening. Sorry. So
Starting to pack your shit.
I looked at the odds too, and I think they're pretty ridiculous. And I'm going to try to win some real money on this. So essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to end up running about $75 bets on the four guys I think that can win the tournament, or I think they have the odds to win the tournament. The one is, I know you're going to hate, it's Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson's at plus 1,700, crushes the ball, and I think he's due for a really, really good tournament. I think that Bryson is a favorite, but not my favorite. 2 of my favorites, because the odds are astronomical and silly, are Will Zalatoris and Webb Simpson. Will Zalatoris is plus 4,100. Webb Simpson's plus 5,500. I think both of them can win the tournament. I think both of them have a very good chance to win the tournament, and I think both of them have awesome odds. And the last one I'm going with is Spieth, 2,300. I think that that's very good odds for him. They're my 4 picks, and then I'll run after the 75, 75, 75. I'll place the top 10 picks on those same 4 players, which will probably cover my money if 2 of them hit.
So you're just gonna bet on like top 10?
75, 75, 75, 75 to win, which would be 300, and then I would be betting 50, 50, 50, 50 for them to place top 10.
Okay.
Which I'll probably get plus money on 3 of them. Bryson will be minus probably 1.
He's not gonna be more than like minus 130 or something like that.
That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's not bad at all, actually. All right, so I'm my number 1 overall pick to win the whole thing is Jon Rahm. He's in form. He's playing really well. I mean, we talked about it last week with what happened in the Memorial, him testing positive for COVID, and then making him withdraw after the 3rd round. I think it'd be a great story for him to get his redemption this week, win his first major. Nobody's hitting the ball better than him.
Has he cleared?
He's cleared. He's good to go. He's out of isolation. He's been practicing.
He's the favorite right now.
He is. Second guy is going to be Brooks. I know how much I talk about him on the show. I love him. He just peaks at majors. His knee's even healthier. He took a couple weeks off after the P.G.A. He's also won the Farmers before. He's familiar with the course. He's played it well. If he putts well, I think he's going to be there because he's as long as he is, he's actually pretty accurate. Same thing with Rahm. Next 2 guys I'm going to give you, kind of like what Gene said, I think they have a really decent shot to win the tournament. I think their odds are way off the board where they should be. I think they should be higher. Colin Morikawa, I think, has a great chance to win the tournament. He is debatably one of the best ball strikers on the planet. His weakness, if he has one, is his putting, and with the smaller greens, it kind of negates that a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's there at the end on Sunday as well. The next guy, Catrell already mentioned, is Mark Leishman. I don't know why nobody's talking about him. He's actually playing pretty well. I think he's the 2nd most top 10s ever in the history of Farmers. Like he plays well every time he plays the course. He's also a guy from he's more of a a European P.G.A. guy. He's used to playing in the wind. He's one of those guys. Those weather effects do not affect him at all. He'll be comfortable. And I'll give you 2 long shots. Both European guys. Both guys I like. They're kind of like grinders. They don't get too high. They don't get too low. Double bogey's not going to derail them. I'm going to give you Tommy Fleetwood from England and Tyrrell Hatton from England. Again, both guys that are very comfortable playing in wind and playing in bad conditions. They can get around a golf course. They're not super long. They're more accurate. I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them, were skirting around the top 10. I think they're good, really good value bets to place to finish in the top 10. I think they'll win you money come Sunday.
Well, okay. You have any more?
No.
Figured 40 would be enough.
No.
Just kidding. just
6.
busting balls.
I could break down a bunch more people if you want.
Well, the U.S. Open is, you said it's 2nd best golf tournament of the year.
In my opinion, it's the hardest one to win just because of the way they set up the courses. I still think Augusta. I think the Masters is probably still the most prestigious. I would tell you that
P.G.A. or U.S. Open.
U.S. Open.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the harder one to win. I think they would tell you. I think most players, if you asked most of them, they would all tell you they'd either pick the Masters or U.S. Open. It's one of the 2. I think it's close. Augusta, again, Masters gets a little bit of an advantage because it's Augusta. Course. You could say you won at Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
But the U.S. Open is definitely the hardest one to win because they do change the course every year, and the way they set up the course and how hard they make the setup. It's the best test in golf. I'll put it that way.
Let's get a quick breakdown of the College World Series before we get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me. We're running short on time. We got 7 minutes left, so let's get a breakdown on the College World Series.
All right. It's held in Omaha, Nebraska every year. Used to be Rosenblatt Stadium, which was awesome. Most of us grew up watching.
Like Rosenblum, like our listener Eric.
No.
Okay.
No, not the status. not the status stealer.
Oh man,
shots.
Love Eric. Hope he's listening.
Love Eric. It's a TD Bank Stadium now. TD Ameritrade, whatever it is. It's a huge stadium with the new bats. It's just weird to watch. I never wish they would have left Rosenblatt. But anyway, so they use the same format as the ladies do. So you have 2 pools of 4. You pretty much play double elimination to get out, and then the 2 teams that come out play a best of 3. Vanderbilt's the number 1 overall seed. Texas is 2. Tennessee is 3. Other than Arkansas, they've kind of been the most consistent. 3 of the more, I'd say, top 6 or 7 teams all year long. Both very good. All 3 are very good. Sorry. Vanderbilt's got Kumar Rocker and John Leiter. Leiter from Major League Baseball is his son.
Is that John Rocker's son too?
No, not John Rocker's son.
I figured we'd just check, right?
No. Kumar Rocker could play in the NFL. He's a big boy.
So is John Rocker.
Yeah, but, well, I don't want to make the I don't want to make the off-color joke here. He's definitely not John Rocker's son.
Okay,
I'll leave it at that. I think it's gonna be good. I think you have 8 teams that are very good. You got a couple teams that are super hot, like NC State, Stanford, Virginia,
knocked off Arkansas.
Yep. I think it's got the opportunity to be a very, 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 very good College World Series.
So who's your pick?
I'm going with Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt. I'm sticking with them. I got them to beat Texas in the final. I love the 1-2 punch. They have the 2, however you want to cut it. They have 2 of the best 4 starters in the country. If they can stay again, if they can win their first 2 games and get to the best of 3 without having to burn too much of their bullpen or their other starters, they're gonna be able to throw both these kids twice. If that's the case, I think they're gonna be really hard to beat. Texas does have a pair of Ty Madden and Tristan Stevens, both really, really good pitchers, both going to go in the first round in the draft next month. Just don't know. I don't know if they have enough outside of the 2 of them. I think Vanderbilt hits the ball well enough. And again, with a huge park, it's not a home run game like it used to be. You got to be able to hit. You got to be able to hit singles, doubles, hit alleys. I'm going with Vanderbilt. I think it's gonna be good though.
Okay, Catrell, what you got?
I'm going with Tennessee. Tennessee's they're a hot team right now.
Shout out, Buddy Lucas.
I mean, if you watch Tennessee in their first game in the Super Regional, they shouldn't have even beat Wright State. They were down 3 going into the 9th inning, and they had a kid hit a walk-off grand slam. Mm-hmm. So, and ever since then, they've just been on fire. And it's interesting to see too, because they don't have like a known stud like starting pitching rotation, but for the regular season, they were 8th in the country in total ERA. So this is the team, they know how to hit. They know how to hit now. They got hot bats, and their pitching has been consistent all season. So I'm going with Tennessee.
All right. Wouldn't be surprised at all.
I'm going Texas out of that region. I think Texas will end up beating Vanderbilt.
Hook 'em horns. Very good pick.
Yeah, I'm going Texas.
Horns down.
Horns down.
I'm not going to give a full breakdown of it because I don't even know that much about it. But just out of the little reading I've done, I'm going Texas. Don't follow my pick, though. Unless I win, and then I'll brag about it.
Sounds about right.
Let's get into You Gotta Be Kidding Me. So Tom is our guest.
God,
Tom, are you prepared with the good You Gotta Be Kidding Me?
I'd like to think so.
Okay.
It was really tempting for me to say the refs missing the 7-man too many men last night when the Lightning scored.
So bad.
But I'm going with Adam Pelech pushing Braden Point from behind right into his own goalie. Really, really dangerous play. Point's face hit Varlamov's mask. Varley goes down. He leaves the game. And somehow Point gets the penalty. I got to say to Adam Pelech and to the referee there,
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
You got to give them like a signal. They don't know yet, bro. You're brand new here.
He's new.
Control, give me yours.
I got to go last. I got the best one.
I got the best one?
I thought he was going last.
All
He's
right,
got
good.
graphics. All right, I'm going with Josh Donaldson from Minnesota. I almost switched this to something else from Major League Baseball. And I'm going to save it for next week because I don't know. They pissed me off. I'm going to go with Josh Donaldson. So Josh Donaldson pretty much came out when the whole foreign substance thing started with the pitchers about 10 days ago. And pretty much just pointed everybody right at Garrett Cole and said Garrett Cole was the main culprit in this. And, if you look at his stuff, all his spin rates are up over the last 2 years when he's been using it. He started doing it in Houston. Everybody knows he does it, so forth and so on. So he pretty much called him out. And I don't know if he meant to do it on purpose or he didn't look far enough ahead on the schedule, but they started a series with the Yankees 2 days after that, and Garrett Cole was scheduled to pitch. So, everybody, all eyes were on Garrett Cole, making sure he wasn't touching, his arms or, his hat more than normal, anything like that. His spin rates were pretty much up where they should be. You can't call somebody out and accuse him of cheating and then strike out twice and fly out weakly to right field. And then on top of that, apparently, he was telling all his players he was expecting for Garrett Cole to hit him because he pretty much threw him under the bus. So for me, you're going to throw somebody under the bus and not back it up in game time for me. For this week, it's Josh Donaldson.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Mike's awake now.
It's funny. Garrett Cole could have been a "you gotta be kidding me" too for his interview that he had about the substance.
That wasn't good either.
When they asked him about it, that was awful. Worst response
ever.
ever. I don't know how to. I mean, did you cheat? I don't really know how to answer that one.
I don't know if I cheated or not.
A lot of people did some stuff and passed some stuff down. I'm not saying I did it, but
I'll give you a peek ahead. That whole issue is probably gonna be you got to be kidding me next week.
Listen,
MLB couldn't have handled it any worse. Like they
Fire
normally
Rob,
do, so.
2021.
Fire Rob every day.
Bill
so
hates
bad.
Rob.
Oh, he's awful.
So mine this week has to be the NBA officials for what they did with Nikola Jokic. Listen, the Denver Nuggets weren't winning that series. They probably weren't winning that game. That's not the point in this. You don't throw the MVP of the league out for a swipe foul. If you want to give him a flagrant because he grazed the guy's nose, Cameron Payne's nose, that's fine. He hit ball. And when Reggie Miller first seen the play, he goes, well, he got all ball. It drove me nuts that they threw the MVP of the league out on that play at home in a series clinching game. Like, that can't happen. That can't. And listen, I love Chris Paul, and I'll give Chris Paul's roses every time I get a chance to.
We know.
Chris Paul got him thrown out of that game.
Yeah.
I'm super convinced. If you watch it, he goes over to the ref. He explains to them what the replay is going to show. He says, the definition of the rule. It goes, you cannot not throw him out of the game. This is the definition of the rule. This is exactly what he did. And they read it literally what Chris Paul said to them. It's bothersome. And, in that situation, man, if it's game 2 and it's 1-0, I still don't like it. But in a deciding game at home, I can't. So for this week, NBA officials.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I think the worst part about that is what you touched on. You literally have flagrants. You're able to give out flagrants literally for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Why skip there's no way that's an ejectable foul. Just give him a flagrant and be done with it. I just hope his Serbian hitman brothers found those refs in the hallway somewhere.
Man,
I'll tell you what, dude.
They were ready to go.
You ever come out of a bar and see them guys in an alley go the other way?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think Jokic could have handled Booker himself. I don't think he needed his brothers.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'm telling you, that would have been one of those bad WWE matches.
Didn't that remind you of the Khabib Conor thing?
Yeah, if they got on the court, they were going to clear that court.
I saw something that said that his brothers, they were the hitmen and everything, and Jokic was the one that had talent. They're like, you're not going to get involved in this. If you got any problems, just call us and we'll handle it all for you.
He's got neck tribal that.
If there was a problem, I'll solve it. Check out my brothers. Let the DJ revolve.
Rob Van Winkle.
All right, so you're gonna love this, by the way.
All right, good.
So
is there a video?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
I'm gonna go over the first part first, and then I'll have Mike pull up the video. Michigan football. They finally made it known that players are not allowed to wear red in their stadiums. Finally. They put up a sign in their weight room about Ohio State and the rivalry, so they're finally taking the rivalry serious after they've been getting dog-walked for the past decade. And so the day after this happens, Mike, cue the video. The day after this happens, this guy is literally on the middle of the big house near the emblem with bright red shoes on. These players are not taking this rivalry seriously, and that's why they keep getting dog walk. If you're not going to listen to your head coach and he tells you these rules, then you're not going to win big games in the rivalry. Players got to take it more serious. At Ohio State, we don't care who you are. If you're wearing blue in our facilities, we make you change your shirt. It was a few years ago in 2013. Urban Meyer had a guy come in. It was scouts from another team. They're wearing blue shirts. Urban Meyer gave them Ohio State shirts, and they put them on immediately, or they weren't allowed to be there anymore. We take it serious over in our place, and that's why we keep winning. So this week for me, Michigan football.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
That is amazing.
Never seen
the
anybody
video
get
is great.
so excited over red sneakers.
Listen, it's funny.
It's funny.
If they make a rule and like the guy's walking around in red sneakers,
It's literally the day after too. That's what made it even funnier.
That's awesome. All right, so listen, we got a couple closing points. Tom, do you have any closing points that you'd like to add?
Nothing for me, thanks.
It was so awesome to have you here, Campbell Corner. You're welcome back anytime you want to come over. Anytime we want to go over hockey. So thank you so much, and other things. You're obviously knowledgeable. I love the stats behind everything that you said. Catrell, anything you need to go over?
Nothing really. I'm just gonna piggyback off your guys'. So
okay. I have one. I would love to have two, but one's a little closer to Shally, so I'm gonna let that one go.
that's why I said piggyback.
Yeah, say I'll piggyback off that one too. I got to give happy 67th wedding anniversary, 67 years to Loretta and Eugene Walzak Sr. So happy anniversary, Grandma and Grandpa. 67 years together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I want to give them a shout out for that on the show. And to Shally.
I got two. One's kind of more like a universal thing. First I will go happy birthday to Travis. His birthday is today. He's been one of our absolute most loyal fans from the get-go. When we started this, months ago. He's always sharing. He's always telling everybody. I mean, he might actually talk about the show more than I do. He's been a huge, great help for us. Not only as a fan, again, spreading the word. He's also, again, my brother-in-law. I married my sister, but he also is a newly father this year, which I know is awesome to him. Kind of tying it all into my second point, I'm going to wish Happy Father's Day to everybody who listens to us who's a father. I hope you guys all have a great day on Sunday. To all the new fathers out there like Travis, enjoy your first day as being, first day is a Father's Day. Tom, I know you have children. Happy Father's Day. It's a special day. Mothers have their day and fathers have their day. Everybody knows my past with my father, Gene, as well. It's a tough day for us, but this is the first Father's Day Travis is going to have without his. So it's kind of come full circle for him. So I hope he has a great day on Sunday. That's about it.
Oh, it's a good way to wrap up the show. Show 36, Wire to Wire. We're signing out. Thank you guys very much.